We're going to start off with some music, and I'm going to teach you a little line. You can sing along if you want, or you can just listen and enjoy as the choir comes on up. And your part goes like this. Love one another, serve one another, honor one another, as equals hand in hand. That's the first part. Love one another, part's going to come in a few minutes. The basses are going to start us up.
Let this fire compel us to action, to love our neighbor in need, and to risk where we are for what we ought to be. Notice how the fire flickers uniquely from moment to moment. It is never constant and needs our watchful eye. May that same fire lit generations ago in lives offered up in service burn in us now and forever. Please rise in body and or in spirit for the processional hymn, Number 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
Please be seated. Welcome, friends, to this place. And as we begin, may I remind you about those pesky cell phones. This place is made sacred by the congregation that gathers here, with their hopes and dreams, their pain and their fears, their determination to grow in spirit and make the world a better place. Welcome to this service of ordination for James Galasinski, who has ministered to us as he has continued to learn his calling over a fearful and wonderful 18 months. Welcome, and may the Spirit, which calls us all to the special tasks of our lives, be with us as we affirm James, his ministry, and the ministry which we all share in our beautiful and troubled world. Welcome.
Tonight's reading comes from The Art of Pastoring, Contemplative Reflections by William C. Martin.
The qualities of a pastor are impossible to describe.
We can only see them in action.
No noise or clamor,
but a careful manner of moving through the daily parish activities.
clear eyes steadily seeing to the heart,
Kindness and humility in the presence of others.
needing to defend nothing, prove nothing,
Therefore, able to respond with the sureness of the flowing river.
hiding nothing, therefore able to speak truthfully with ease,
Can you do this?
Can you wait patiently?
Until all the voices that clamor for action settle down?
Can you resist the temptation to do what the parish seems so desperately to want you to do so?
Until the Spirit of God reveals naturally and gently the next step.
And events unfold as they should, without pushing and shoving.
The pastor does not seek success.
She does not see people as tokens to be collected.
Since she does not seek these things,
She is available at the level of the soul to all who seek.
In the ever-shifting waters of the river of this life, I was swimming, seeking comfort. I was wrestling waves to find a boulder I could cling to, a stone to hold me fast, where I might let the fretful water of this river round me pass. And so I found an anchor, a blessed resting place, a trusty rock I call my Savior, for there I would be safe from the river and its dangers, and I proclaimed my rock divine, and I prayed to it, protect me, and the rock replied, God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild, raging rapid sound, flows meandering soul. God is a deep and narrow passage, and a peaceful sandy shore. God is the river swimmer, so let go. Still I clung to my rock tightly, with conviction in my arms, never looking at the stream to keep my mind from thoughts of harm. But the river kept on coming, kept on tugging at my leg, till at last my fingers faltered and I was swept away. So I'm going with the flow now, these relentless twists and bends, acclimating to the motion and a sense of being there. And this river's led my body now, it carries me along through the ever-changing sea and by the rocks. God
The title of this sermon is Walking Toward Trouble, James. You asked me the other day and I wasn't sure yet. Before I was ordained, when I was about chest deep on the path to ministry, I remember encountering an older minister, a man who had retired from the parish and was now involved in our denomination's administration, who gave some advice to me and a group of other seminarians. He said, if you can imagine doing anything else besides the ministry, anything at all, you should go do that instead. We ran into a lot of crusty advice and cranky warnings back then. We were told that it would be hard to find a job, that the financial realities of ministry were likely to be grim. They warned us that ministry is one of the loneliest vocations. Nobody will want to talk to you at parties, they said. And if they do, it will probably just be to tell you why they are against organized religion. There is some truth to this. It turns out most fun-loving people do not want to enjoy their beer in the company of a member of the clergy. Furthermore, while ministry may once have been bad for parties, but at least highly regarded in society, today liberal-minded people are likely to assume that a minister's intentions are suspect and his or her worldview outdated. For many people, this is a prejudice grounded in firsthand experience. Over the years, too many charlatans, proselytizers, and coveters of power and privilege have annoyed and insulted their fellow humans, used religion to sanction violence, and just generally dragged the office of the ministry through the mud. On Friday, I led a memorial service in this room for a man who had never gone to church. His brother told a story of a time when the man's neighbor was a minister, though, and an obnoxious one. The young minister was always giving the man unsolicited sermons, the kind that ambush you in your driveway or on the sidewalk. One day, the man noticed that the minister and his wife had a stream of dinner guests arriving, each one leaving their shoes on the porch as they entered. When the last guest had arrived, the man quietly removed every shoe and relocated them to the back of the minister's car. The embarrassed minister's guests all went home barefoot. It took him 2 days to find the shoes. The minister never could prove who did it, the brother said, but he left the man alone after that. Curmudgeons and mentors alike warned us seminarians that we weren't learning a lot of what we were going to need to know. And it's true, in divinity school, there were no classes on architectural contracts, how to supervise staff, or how to convey meaningful intergenerational theological lessons through a coyote, a leopard, and a rabbit. Ominously, we did have a course full of case studies on difficult human and group behavior, a series of what-if exercises. What if you catch the organist kissing the married president of the congregation in the parking lot? What if the congregation's largest donor threatens to leave unless you fill in the blank? What if 2 factions form in your congregation around the way you handled one of the above? We were also warned that there were congregations out there that chewed up and spit out ministers, and we were instructed in how to case a church, so we didn't accidentally land in one of those. Later, I read that a group of alligators is also called a congregation. Named, perhaps, by a seminarian who decided at that point he could do something else, and he went into zoology. There were a lot of warnings. It was a little unnerving. I tried to imagine not being eaten by a congregation of alligators. I even tried to imagine doing something else. But in the end, again and again, I was drawn back to ministry. Why? And James is wondering, is it too late to reconsider? Stay right there. I'm just kidding, because of course, James has been at this for a few years already. Between his internship in Wisconsin and his residency here with us in Albuquerque, he knows what I and our other colleagues know, which is that it's true that ministry entails some real challenges, but also breathtaking beauty. My colleague Sean Newton says that ministry is, if not the oldest profession, at least the weirdest. But in the theater of life, it just might be the best seat in the house. Think of it. A spinning blue-green globe in the middle of the universe, if there is such a thing as the middle. It's slinging around a sun, and it has a moon going around it. And on the globe, mountains and oceans and life emerges. Single-celled organisms, then bigger ones. Sunflowers, pterodactyls, hummingbirds, sloths, Neanderthals, gorillas, humans. Humans! They begin thinking, making tools, spinning stories. Now there's consciousness in the universe. The same atoms that have been cycling around are doing something new. Birthing consciousness. The universe has created the department of meaning-making. Hang out the sign. With consciousness come a sense of purpose and a sense of humor, tradition and innovation, love and angst. The people spin stories to make sense of it. They devise rituals for celebrating, blessing, and mourning because it all means so much to them. They reflect on the best and the worst of humankind, and they rededicate themselves as often as they remember to the best. They study the wisdom and folly of their ancestors. In their rituals and thinking and practices, they seek to serve a higher purpose than mere survival, to link themselves to a larger meaning. And from time to time, they recognize a particular person in their midst who seems to have a special calling for helping them do these things, a person they call a minister. Minister, which comes from the Latin word for one who serves. The minister serves to help the people do what all people must, discover meaning in life, be part of something larger than themselves, and participate in renewing and developing the goodness and potential of humankind. We all do ministry in the sense that this work belongs to all of us. But the ordained minister in our tradition is called by the people, from among the people, to take up ministry with special dedication, focus, and training, and to share of their knowledge and of themselves for the benefit of those who called them. The minister does this by inspiring or teaching through preaching, by leading by example, through the rituals that honor a human life, and through individual relationships of care. But some of the hardest and most important work of ministry takes place when things are not going well, or at least when things are not simple. There is a woundedness that goes along with being, just being alive. At the very least, we are all grappling with mortality and vulnerability. You know what this looks like in your life. In divinity school, one of my classmates did a study of what UU ministers said to their congregations on the Sunday after 9/11. I read a handful of these 9/11 sermons, and the theme that stood out the most was the phrase, "I love you." "I don't know how to make sense of this," one minister said. "What can I say that is meaningful in the face of so much destruction? I'm at a loss for words, but I feel that I must tell you I love you." Someone else once wrote that ministry enters through a wound. The best ministers are deeply in touch with the woundedness that is intrinsic to being human. The best ministers are not perfect, not more godly than anyone else. They are human, and if anything, they are even more human than they were before they became ministers. When he is ordained and called to serve a congregation, James will be living the same questions as the rest of us and experiencing the same suffering that is part and parcel of the human experience for all of us. But he will be doing it in public. He will be processing it not only for his own healing, but to build up his courage and relate to and connect with others and to help others heal as well. Simone Campbell says, "The journey of faith is walking towards trouble. Most people walk away. Our spiritual leaders walk toward pain in order to touch and heal. It's a different kind of trouble than the stuff we were warned about. It's the best kind of trouble, because it's the kind that reminds us how precious life is, how beautiful. It reminds us what a privilege the vocation of ministry is, whether we're leading a memorial service like the one I did here just the other day, where we pray over the ashes and we comfort the mourning widow and then laugh with her as stories are shared all throughout the room about how her husband sparkled in life and touched people and will always be remembered. Or whether we are just one in a crowd with members of the congregation we serve, sharing the ministry together as we stand on the side of love in the public square. It's a privilege when we look out over a congregation and are humbled to be entrusted with the care of something that came before us, and if we do a good job, will long outlive us. And it's a privilege when we realize how much we will always be learning from the people we serve. James, there's no turning back now. Welcome to the weirdest profession. Welcome to trouble. Welcome to beauty and gratitude, and to a vocation that will change your life forever. Welcome to the ministry, and blessings on your journey.
It is the tradition among Unitarian Universalist congregations for an offering to be taken at ordinations and installations for the Living Tradition Fund of the Unitarian Universalist Association. You can make checks payable to First Unitarian, and we will send along them and all the cash that is given in the plates today. The Living Tradition Fund provides need-based scholarships and debt reduction grants to seminarians as they go through their very expensive training and often settle in very modestly paying jobs. It also provides funds for ministerial aid in times of emergency, illness, and crisis. I was once the recipient of such funds. It was at the end of my first year of seminary. I was living in Boston, and I had to get out of my seminary housing a few days before my work finished. And so I packed my car with all my worldly belongings, my books, my first year's sermon, my clothes, my papers, a few family heirlooms that I had with me for comfort, all the stuff that makes a life, even in a dormitory. And the car was stolen. Despondent and kind of disoriented, I finished my work and dragged myself to an ordination. At the ordination, a denominational official approached me and handed me an envelope. "We heard you'd lost all your belongings," he said. "We're so sorry. We hope this will help." I tried to refuse the gift. My parents had already sent me a credit card and the invitation to use it freely, but he wisely insisted that I take the envelope anyway. And it did help. It not only helped pay for the insurance deductibles, it gave moral support when I most needed it. From that time on, I have known that difficult and often isolating as life in ministry can be, I am not alone. The people, writ large, care and support ministers and ministry. You who are here because you care about James and because you value ministry. I invite you to give generously to this Living Tradition Fund and to know that you have done a good thing. I've repaid the fund for the gift I got 35 years ago several times over in all the installations and ordinations I've been to since, but I have never exhausted the sense of caring and covenant with which it was given. The offering will now be taken, and may your generosity bless your lives.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, it is the congregation which holds the authority to ordain our ministers. We have witnessed the ministry of James Thomas Galasinski and have gathered this day to affirm his calling and ordain him to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. James, you have listened to your calling and have gone down the path of ministry with an open heart and mind. In differing capacities, you have served the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee and Unitarian Church North in Mequon, Wisconsin, and here at First Unitarian. These congregations have considered it a privilege and a pleasure to witness and nurture the growth of your calling to ministry. We now proudly recognize your qualifications for the learned ministry. You have fulfilled the requirements for the Master of Divinity degree at Meadville Lombard Theological School and have received the recommendation of the Ministerial Fellowship Committee of the Unitarian Universalist Association. So now, in this sacred hour, and by a unanimous vote at our congregation's most recent annual meeting, we wish to ordain you to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. Wherever your ministry takes you, we would have you preach the word of truth in freedom and love, minister to the joys and sorrows of our living, recall one and all to the responsibilities of community in the church and in the world, and set forth by example our free faith and liberal religious tradition. James, are you ready to accept ordination to the Unitarian Universalist ministry?
I am.
In affirmation of James' ministry and our confidence in his calling, will the members of First Unitarian Church of Albuquerque please rise in body and or spirit and read the act of ordination with me? We, the members of First Unitarian Church, do hereby ordain you, James Thomas Galasinski, to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. We charge you to minister faithfully with your mind, your heart, and your hands, to speak the truth in love, to tell of the wonder and mystery of life, and to urge all whom you serve toward a deeper commitment to justice and compassion. In this, we pledge to walk with you in the unity of the Spirit, in the bond of peace, and in the ways of truth and love. Thank you, members. Will James' family, friends, colleagues, and all others assembled here please rise in body and or spirit and join us in affirming this act of ordination. James, we recognize and affirm your ordination. We rejoice with you on this occasion and offer you our continuing friendship and support. With pride and love, we offer our blessings on your ministry. May yours be a ministry of hope, joy, and healing in the world.
Before the gentle unfolding mystery of the universe, to which we all belong, sustained by the sun and awed by the stars, before all of humanity of which we serve, and before this gathered community, I accept ordination to the Unitarian Universalist ministry with a deep sense of obligation and opportunity, mindful of its privileges and its responsibilities, and with profound gratitude for all who have walked before me and beside me. I take up the ministry to which you ordain me, guided by hope and moved by love. Get the microphone for microphone.
As is stated in the act of ordination in our Unitarian Universalist tradition, it is the congregation that holds the authority to ordain ministers. The laying on of hands is a bodily act that confirms the verbal act of ordination. Traditionally, laying on of hands is a way of conferring power on a person. This may be power, the power of healing. It may be the power of an office. And so in our tradition, in keeping with the idea that the power and authority come from the congregation, we do our laying on of hands by involving the entire congregation in the act. And so I'm going to invite James, if he would stand in the center. And then I invite all present to find a way to link with James, either directly, those near to him, if you would gently lay a hand, yeah. And everyone else can connect. And so we form a great interdependent web of power. Let us pray. May we be deep channels of the great stream of life flowing through and among us, creating, sustaining, transforming. And may this stream pour its blessings through the years on our brother James and on his family and on his ministries. May it keep alive the sense of calling that has brought him to this moment. May there always be a living spring welling up within him, a spring to sustain him in the dry seasons that are part of ministry and of life, and a spring to bring nourishment to dry and thirsty lands. May James keep his sense of wonder at the vastness of the universe and maintain a sense of connection to his own soul. And may he bring joy and enthusiasm to the work of ministry. May he find the courage to speak the truth in love, the strength to stand with victims of oppression, and the faith to walk with others through the valley of the shadow. May his laughter be leaven for every community with which he serves, and should tears come, may they be living water, a gift for healing. May power move in him and through him in such a way that those around him are never diminished, but rather tap the source of their own power and strength. May all of this be so that James and all those with whom he ministers may be instruments of healing and transformation in our beloved, beautiful, broken world. And may justice flow down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Amen. So be it. Blessed be.
Ministry is a highly symbolic profession. Although it relies on the skills of heart and of individual ministers, it is both weighted and lightened by the great traditions of ministry and our experiences of ministers, which are a part of the lives of ministers and those whom they serve. Thus, on an occasion like this, we have gifts. First, the robe. James, you've been wearing a robe for a year or so now, but once ordained, the robe takes on new weight and meaning. And this is a very special robe. It was a gift to you from the Reverend Todd Taylor, who was the minister of this congregation in the 1980s. He had received it some 30 years before as a gift from his mentor, the Reverend Al Hobart, a civil rights leader, awesomely progressive, whose son, the Reverend Jim Hobart, was one of your mentors. It's a good thing that a preaching robe is a rather timeless garment. We hope you will wear this one in pride of heritage, knowing that your colleagues through the ages are with you as you carry on their work and make it yours. The stole is a more modern symbol of ministry and the traditional gift of the internship or ordaining congregation to a new minister. James, you are the 7th new minister to receive a stole from this church, all handmade by someone in the congregation. Carol Bonda, who, supported by the Fiber Arts Group, Francis Vargas and Marguerite Brescia, created this stole for you. It's worked with images of the yin-yang symbol that's on the mural, which you foolishly told her was your favorite. And the Sandia Mountains, just turn around, on the back. There you go. And a chalice, and hidden away, some chili peppers. We hope you will wear it with good memories and with our love, with our appreciation for your ministry among us, and our confidence that you will go forth and serve well.
Christine and I, who supervise your time here, give you the symbolic gift of a book. Ministry is kept alive not only by love, but by knowledge, learning, and spiritual growth. We too honor your ministry and want you to go with our special blessings. Finally, we New Mexicans want to give you a gift that reminds you of the time you spent here in our interesting and beautiful state. We hope that you, Ulrika, and Miles will enjoy this Native American pot, a product of these people and this soil.
James, will you please come forward? James, you and I spent a lot of time together in seminary, taking classes, hanging out at the hostel, going to jazz clubs in Chicago. Rumor has it that you're a pretty good bass player. But truth be told, I've never heard you play. I guess you didn't feel like lugging that upright bass on the Milwaukee to Chicago train. But that didn't stop us from having long discussions about Miles Davis or whether smooth jazz is really jazz or elevator music.
It's elevator music.
Hey, wait a minute, it's jazz. You see, when it comes to jazz, you like it pure and authentic. No showing off. You prefer to lay down the beat, keep time in the background, sure and steady, so everyone else can make sweet music. You listen closely for any changes so you can support your bandmates while they improvise and experiment. And that's how I see you as a minister, pure and authentic. You care deeply about the people to whom you serve. You support them with humor, one of your favorite instruments in ministry. For you, humor isn't so much about getting a laugh as it is about teasing out the joy from any situation. As a minister, you are the consummate rhythm section, making sure that everyone's needs are met first, working in the background to draw out other people's ministries, fostering a collaborative ensemble where the authority comes from the service that we are all called to do. When something frank and honest has to be said, you find a way to do that from your heart. I remember one time in seminary when we practiced our sermon assignments on each other. You were very gentle and penetrating in how you told me that my sermon still needed some work. And the hour was late, so I didn't want to hear that. But I believed your authenticity and your purity. You probably don't see yourself as a band leader, the one who takes it upon himself to step up when the sound isn't right, or step back when everything is humming along. But I've seen you do it. As you know, our congregations can be eclectic ensembles of free spirits playing to different beats and improvising on their own theologies, questioning sometimes the direction that the band is going. There is a time and place for you to set the beat, create the rhythm, and get out of the way. And there are times when you need to claim your authority that comes from your call to be a servant leader, to tell someone when they're out of tune, or to listen deeply to the music in their heart. I charge you, Reverend James Galasinski, to listen to that divine wisdom that forms the steady beat of your own calling as a minister, to claim your authentic and pure authority as a leader, to find that balance between laying down the rhythm and stepping forward to take a solo. Remember that even when the lights are shining on you, you always have us colleagues who care deeply about you. You are never alone or without a backup. We will drop our own instruments whenever you need us. Step surely into your calling through the difficult and the joyous times. Claim your innate authority as a leader. And may your ministry be as authentic and as pure as your jazz. Play on, James.
The charge to the congregation. Whew. That sounds authoritative, almost magisterial, as if we had come down from the hill in Los Alamos bearing stone tablets, like Moses descending from Mount Sinai. But if so, our tablets are engraved with only 2 words: thank you. Thank you for being a teaching congregation. Thank you for helping James to learn his craft and follow his calling, to grow into the fine minister he is and will be. Thanks for caring for his family, too, Ulrika and Miles.
And thank you for helping not just James, but many other interns and new ministers to develop their gifts and find their ministries among us. We hope you will continue to play this vital role. For as the wife of one of our most renowned Unitarian Universalist ministers said, great congregations make great ministers. And not the other way around. So, thank you for being a great congregation.
But wait. Underneath the thank you, there are a few other words on our tablets after all, which I guess you probably figured there would be. They're not etched in stone, so can't be the 10 Commandments. They're lightly penciled in. So perhaps they're more like the 8 suggestions. And we offer them to you as you journey with your ministers, present and future.
Suggestion 1, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Sounds familiar? We borrowed that one from Moses. But it's one of the most important things you can do. Be here Sunday mornings. Set aside this time for reflection and renewal and mutual support.
Suggestion 2, share the ministry of First Unitarian. No one person can do the work of the church alone, and even if they could, they shouldn't. We're all in this together. So look around and see where the work of your hands or the love in your heart is needed.
Suggestion 3, stretch, take risks, be willing to be changed.
Suggestion 4, let go of expectations of ministers, of fellow congregants, of the way it's supposed to be. Listen to each other and trust life.
Suggestion 5, when things go wrong, hang in there anyway. Stay connected, forgive, and give for your future together.
Suggestion 6, laugh. Have fun. Celebrate being in this community where happiness dancing on the faces of young, old, and in between is a sacrament.
Suggestion 7, take breaths. Because you need to take breaks, and that's a good way to start. To breathe. And at day's end, stop fretting about what didn't get done. The church will be here in the morning, and with any luck, so will we. And then breathe again and be at peace in the love that surrounds and upholds us all.
And suggestion 8, don't depend on these suggestions. No to-do list is as important as just being there for each other, creating a faith that helps us greet each sunrise with wonder and live each day to the fullest, walking together in love and gratitude and hope.
Here endeth our charge to the congregation, But James has asked us to make an announcement that gladdens our hearts. As your order of service notes, we are retired ministers now living in Los Alamos, but before that, for 16 years, we were the co-ministers of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canton, New York, where we are still the ministers emeriti.
It is a truly wonderful congregation, and they are about to get a wonderful minister. It's a great match, and we are so happy for you, James, and for the Canton congregation. Go with our love and our blessings.
Yes, Reverend James. You have touched our lives in many ways. You have touched the lives of those here in New Mexico and those in Wisconsin, across the land. You have supported, laughed, and celebrated with us. In your new New York home, you will share your wisdom. You will offer your compassion. You will patiently listen and hopefully share with those you meet how you found God in the ditch. What's that? He hasn't told that sermon yet? Well, James and several other members of Unitarian Church North volunteered to serve on a roadside cleanup duty one spring in Mequon, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is known for deep ditches alongside its rural roadways, and while they serve their purpose of being plowed snow receptacles in the winter quite well, come springtime they reveal all sorts of detritus donated by passing cars' occupants. So James is working diligently, and he picks up a piece of foam core display board. That's not large at all. Someone had cut it out into the shape of the letters G-O-D. I won't spoil the rest of the story for you. The point is that James' religious education and internship has honed his ability to find the good, and sometimes even that G word, in the most surprising of people and locales. Your church here is proud of you. Your intern committee is very proud of you. This is not merely an ordination. It is indeed an extraordination.
James. New Mexico has no deserts and canyons as grand and as colorful as those of northern Arizona, or dry stretches as wide and as bleak and as hot as the Sonoran Plateau of northern Mexico, western Texas, and southern Arizona. Her rolling plains are shrunken, as well as ennobled by small wooded ranges and tablelands scattered among them, and by blue sierras visible along the horizon. But they cannot compare in size and fertility with the ocean-like prairies of the North American Midwest. Nor are her highest mountains as widespread and majestic as those that fill the Colorado country to the north. But the New Mexican landscape has something that they all lack. It is holy land. These words of New Mexican historian and Franciscan friar Angelico Chavez capture what for many, and I imagine many here, define their encounter with this land of enchantment and the land of my birth. James, it was to this holy land, with its diverse peoples and ancient traditions, that you and your family came on your own search, a vocation toward seeking that which is beyond our own human finitude. You followed in the footsteps of the Anasazi and Pueblo peoples who settled at the base of sacred mountains and along the banks of precious waterways. Those Spanish conquistadors who came in search of gold, but instead found faith in their conventos, penitentes, carmelitos, and the piety nourished in the isolated outskirts of New Spain. You came in the footsteps of the Sephardim seeking refuge in quiet mountain valleys. And the American settlers, the Methodists, Presbyterians, first among them. And later migrations of Sikhs, Muslims, and Buddhists, all setting roots here, not unlike the remarkable growth and presence of your own Unitarian Universalist tradition. So in the midst of this vibrant and vivid backdrop of spiritualities and faith traditions, James, you have been called forth by your own community to this paradoxical office of ordination. For you have been lifted up and set apart so that you may delve more deeply within and live a more intimate solidarity among those who call you forth in service. So as your fellow clergymen, and on behalf of those who have walked a path of ministry in the nearly 9 centuries of my own Norbertine tradition, and the 2 millennia of ministry in the Christian tradition, I welcome you into our shared mission as servants of the common good, of ministers in the midst of people of goodwill. Though our theologies and communities and liturgies reflect their unique differences, our roles are deeply interwoven in a hurting world. A world seeking wholeness, healing, and hope. So to be called forth as you have is to be given a life steeped in challenge and enrobed in beauty. And what a humbling life to live. To stand at the threshold between metaphor and mystery, at the aperture where understanding gives birth to imagination, at the precipice where intellect and empiricism have offered their answers, and the heart still yearns. In many ways, it's an indescribable life upon which you are embarking, to seek that place where compassion, mercy, unity, and justice spring forth from wisdom. And I hope that you have encountered some glimpse of that here in our holy land, for I know that you certainly have uncovered it for many of us in this room. I know the power that your ministry has had here through my parents, who have been your congregants, through your outreach to my own parish of Our Lady of the Most Holy Rosary, and through the brews, both coffee and beer, which we have shared. And those many fascinating conversations, sharing our homilies and sermons, sharing our challenges of ministry, parish personnel. So you and your family have woven a distinctive thread into the fabric of life here in New Mexico. So as you go forth to your new ministry, to New York, to a new community, and embark upon new adventures, may you grow in your ordination as an interlocutor of meaning, offering the loom upon which your congregation may weave a tapestry of their own encounters with transcendence, beauty, love, and truth, always broadening your own embrace. So James, just as you have companioned me through my first year of ordination, I hope that along with the other clergy here present and this whole congregation which has lifted you up, we may not only welcome you into your new relationship in community, but offer you our mutual friendship on your journey. Thank you for all that you are, James.
Hello. Reverend James. This congregation has exercised its right to ordain you in the ministry they have recognized you in. Hands have been laid upon you. You have been invested with the symbols of your ministry, and you have been duly charged in your duties. Now, all that is left is the honor of your colleagues in the Unitarian Universalist ministry to welcome you into the ranks of full fellowship with us. Now, I should probably warn you, now that you have said yes to this, this is probably not the ultra-exclusive club that we led you to believe that it is. But I cannot imagine not being a part of it. Because as Angela said earlier, this is absolutely the weirdest profession in the world. But fear not, for you now walk in the company of hundreds of others who are weird in exactly the same way you are. Your colleagues are your lifeline on this weird journey. We rejoice with you and we mourn with you. We celebrate your triumphs. We pick you up when you fall. We warn you when you get too close to the edge, and hopefully we get a hand out in time to pull you back before you plummet over it. These are duties that we take on with great joy and great seriousness, and all that we ask in return of you is no less than exactly the same towards us. From this moment on, you are ours, and we are yours. And so, as has been given to every new minister at their ordination in the hundreds of years of our tradition, as was given to me at my own ordination, on behalf of your colleagues, I extend the right hand of fellowship and the left hand of fellowship and the open arms of fellowship. Welcome to the weird journey, Brother James.
Please rise in body and or spirit and join with me in singing our recessional hymn, Life Calls Us On, which is found in your order of service.
We're going to sing the first 3 verses and then pause a moment. Don't run away. We're going to finish the 4th verse too.
Blessings we have known, with the pledge to one another. with light. Blessed are they whose inward beauty shows the path of truth and right. Honor is their earthly pride. By their work we realize faith calls us home. Faith calls us home.
May we recognize the river in our lives, that the peace of its flow, the rapids and the waterfalls are all part of this one wild and precious life. May we listen to our callings, emptying ourselves into clouds of unknowing. May we remember the dryness of the desert can only be quenched by that great renewing river within all of us. May the quiet, calming, and bottomless spirit of love, connection, and service be in all of you until we meet again. Blessed be.
Join us in verse 4. We have shared a radiant hour when the truth has made us free, and the Spirit's gracious power dreamed of good that yet shall be.